Okay, excited obviously about this season. We have 3 practices in. We're off to a good start. It's a process. Our motto is TNT, it's toughened together. And just that mental and physical tough edge that we're trying to establish. And then together, we got 40-some new players coming together with other guys, and just that team bonding and those things together. So far so good, but we're just right in the early stages of developing those things. Questions?
Coach, KJ Jefferson coming in, obviously a huge addition from the transfer portal. Now that he's been here all of spring, all of summer workouts, coming into camp, what have you seen from KJ?
Yeah, KJ, the first 3 days in fall camp, you can tell he's more comfortable around his teammates, everything that goes with that, trying to take more leadership. Obviously, he was voted a team captain, which I think is good. Every championship team that I've been a part of, the quarterback has been one of the team captains. So he's off to a good start.
What's something that you've worked with him on to develop his game?
Say it again.
What's something that you've worked with him on to develop his game so far?
Yeah, I think more than anything is, in the spring we were evaluating him. We put in our base offense, evaluating his strengths and the things that we can build on, and then you kind of go back to like what he's comfortable with and build around his strengths. He's got a lot of them, and so that's really what we've been in the process of doing.
Gus, you look at last year. What were some of the lessons you guys were able to take from that first year in the Big 12 that you maybe may have fixed going into this year?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of things. I talked about self-evaluation. I think it starts with the head coach, and obviously, kind of getting back to me and the team taking on my personality. I mean, overall, I've said it before, we weren't a disciplined team, and we weren't really a hard-nosed physical edge team like I've had in the past. That starts with me, and so really we're developing that. And it's a process. It takes time, and it can't just be one or two. It's got to be who we are as a group. And then we talked about quality depth and really experience. And we've got a lot of experience, not just coming back, but guys that came in from different programs that have had really quality experience and been successful, and being able to adjust. And there's nothing better than quality experience, especially in a game, in the season, and as many new guys we got coming in.
Just talked to a bunch of your guys on both sides of the ball, and a lot of the commonalities were we're trying to get the bad taste out of our mouth from last year. A lot of theirs first losing seasons. It was your first losing season. Just how eager are you to get that bad taste out of the freshman?
Yeah, very, very eager. Like we said, our team, I really feel like has a chip on their shoulder, and if that didn't leave a sour taste in our mouth, all of us, then we got something wrong with us. But I really feel like our guys want to redeem themselves, have that chip on their shoulder, play with that edge. But I think our guys understand it's a process, and it's not done overnight. I mean, it's a grind, and we got to bring our A game every single day.
I noticed you guys got rid of all the bowl game appearances, and you just have the New Year's 6 bowl games hanging up now. Is that an indication of aiming for the high heights here?
No, I think that's just by chance, but I do like that idea. But that just happens by chance.
Yes, you talked about the importance of this team maybe taking on a little of your persona. I heard that from a few players as well, that they feel like they're feeding off your energy and your attitude at the start of camp. How have you seen that come to life, even in just these first few days?
Yeah, I think, we're in such a unique time of college football right now. The transfer, the one-time transfer, everything that goes with that, the NIL. So for the last 2 years, there's probably been more transition in college football than all the whatever years was before. So as a head coach, like this, the NIL, I mean, that worries you if you're the head coach. And we started from scratch, and I knew that we were going to have to be competitive. So you start focusing your energy into that, just so you have a chance to have a competitive roster. And then the one-time transfer and everything that goes with that, which is new. And it kind of took me away from the foundation of who I was as a coach. And so that's why last year, when you go through adversity, it brings everything crystal clear. And it started with me, like, I'm going to get back to me, and I know how to do it. I know what it looks like. And so that's really as simple as that. I mean, just getting back, yeah, that's great. The collective, SJ's doing a great job. We got a roster, the way it is. We've got a roster set, the one-time transfer, everything. Now it's time to establish who we are as a football team. So that's been real good for me, and just kind of getting back to being me and remembering what that feels like.
Gus, you take over. You took back play calling duties this year. You said, how troubling was it last year for you? I mean, how difficult was that for you last year? You said, I think you told us you did it midway during the 5-game week. How difficult was it for you not to be maybe?
Yeah, there was a lot of factors that, back off play call, which I love to do. But two of those things I just talked about, they had a lot to do with it. Do you really have enough time to be in that film room to run the offense and all that? And then you look up and the team's not taking on your personality. It's taking on others' personality. And we weren't very disciplined. And that really is disappointing to me. And really it starts with me. And the team's not taking on my personality. So that was really the self-evaluation part. And I'm going to be calling the plays. And Tim's going to be assisting me. And let me tell you, Tim is really, really good. And I've always had that right-hand person, whether it's G.J. Kenny or Chip Lindsey or, whoever. And so really feel good about that. I mean, Darren's doing a good job, with KJ and developing him and all that. But, I'm excited, this year.
You mentioned getting back to your former style of coaching. What is the standard that you expect out of your players that will lead to a better second year in the Big 12?
Well, I mean, just a disciplined brand of football, a hard-nosed edge, physical and mental toughness, that TNT, and then a team that's close together. And, we're really, this fall camp, man, we're earning the respect of each other out there. And any growing pains that we may have need to be on the practice field. They need to be strained to see what comes out instead of having the growing pains on Saturdays like we did last year. And so really that's really been one of the main things.
Coach, you've been vocal about how last year did not live up to your expectations. But I got to ask, what's the biggest thing that you think you learned from last year that you're applying to how you're coaching this year?
Well, I think all above what I just said. I mean, it's all of it, the self-evaluation piece. And the fortunate thing, I've been doing this a long time. I've been real blessed to coach some really, really good players and really, really good teams. So I know what it looks like. I know the process and what it takes. And so that's really where I'm at.
You bring in a new defensive coordinator.
Say it a little bit louder.
You bring in a new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
How does he complement, the personality that you
Yeah.
have?
The great thing about Ted Roof is we won a national championship together. We've been there at the top of the top. I was right beside him in the offensive room. He was in the defensive room. We know a lot about each other. We know how each other respond in the pressure situations. He's a real aggressive guy, and which I like. And I think this day and time, man, with all the offenses and spreading it out and the offense and the quarterbacks, I mean, I think that's what you got to have. And it's just that experienced guy, and he's a relationship guy too. He gets really close to our defensive players, which I'm a relationship guy too. So it was just a really good fit.
Well, guys, you mentioned self-evaluation a few times this week. So when did that process kind of start for you after last season ended, and what did it look like evaluating?
Yeah, it was, when you lose a bowl game and everything is finalized and you look back and, you evaluate. My job is to make our team the best it possibly can be. And so really that's where it started. And, a lot of times too, whether it's former players or former coaches, you communicate. And like I said, it's an interesting time right now to be a head coach in college football. And so now we know. We've been through it. We understand what it takes, NIL and collective. And you got to understand too, I mean, we started from 0 2 years ago. We got a young school. The average age of our alumni, what is it, 36 or 37? We don't have those guys that are established that you pick up the phone and, hey, I need this, need that. So, there was a lot of stress that went with that. And then you put, like I said, the one-time transfer, everything that you've got to make decisions within 48 hours when in the past you have a year or two to develop relationships and know what you're getting. And it turns into almost an NFL roster. And so those two things combined, now we got a better grip. I've got a really good grip, and I've got good people around me that can help me do those things. And now we got a system. So it allows me to get, in that film room and concentrate on football, which I love to do. I mean, the best thing about this job for me is to be on that practice field with my players and to be in that meeting room with my players. And that's what really makes me tick. I'm an old high school coach, man. Started out in high school, I never thought, I was going to be a college coach, and I just happened. Lord blessed me to have great players to coach great teams, and here I am. At my core, I'm a football coach. I'm a high school football coach, and that's the fun thing for me.
How important is it for you to kind of maintain that part of yourself? Talk about being yourself, especially given the major changes.
Man, that fan, speak a little louder, man.
Given those changes in college football, you talk about being yourself and have that team be a part of yourself. How important is it to maintain that given the change in the college football?
Yeah. I mean, there's still going to be more changes, okay? But we have a team, all right, that understands like the process and everything that goes with it. We'll be ready to adjust a lot better than we were, 2 years ago.
All four of your captains into UCF through the portal. How has that impacted the leadership quality of impacted your evaluation?
Yeah, the leadership group was voted on by their peers. I think there's nothing more rewarding for a player than that, and they've earned it. Coach Kinsey's been here, and he's strained them, and so they've had plenty of opportunities to earn the respect for teammates. And we waited as long as we could. We voted the last day before we let them go, right before fall camp, and so they voted those 4 team caps. It says a lot about the guys we brought in, and we got some young guys coming up that we recruited that I'm confident that will be team caps in the future, but it's a year-by-year thing. And, I've got a lot of trust in those 4 guys. Of course, RJ's been here since I've been here. I think that's important with that.
You mentioned that self-evaluation process. How much of your other coaches or even some of the team captains, are there any lessons that they passed on to you that helped in that evaluation process?
I think, I don't know about that. I just think, I've got some of my former players that coach for me now, and hey, coach, you remember this, remember that. I mean, just when you self-evaluate, I just put everything out there, and you kind of get back to being you.
The Big 12 is probably the most wide open power conference in terms of, probably look at the top 10 teams, you can make an argument for any of them to win the championship. So with what you return, with what you added in the portal, do you feel like this could be a Big 12 championship contending team?
Yeah, all I know is we're going to earn everything we get. And my job is to make us as mentally and physically tough and disciplined and together as I possibly can be. And we'll let the chips fall where they fall. Roster-wise, as far as talent and experience, I mean, it's probably right up there, if not better than what we've had since we've been here. But that's only part of the equation, because everybody else has new players too. So I don't know if anybody really knows, but it is wide open. But like I said, we're focused on us, and we'll let chips fall where they fall.
Go ahead.
You brought in Sean Beckman as an analyst.
Yeah.
Speak to bringing him a Hall of Fame who's coached many different positions, and speak of the role of the analyst, which has gone through some changes in the role.
Well, first of all, Sean's one of the most decorated players in the history of this school. He's coached here for numerous championships, and I think it's very important that you have guys. Him and Darren are 2 of the best players to ever put on a uniform here, and I think that's always really, really important. And so, I tried to hire him a couple years ago, and he chose to stay there. So we're glad to have him back, and you can tell he's a real football coach, and he has wisdom, and he understands our school, and he loves our school, and I think that's very important to have those type guys.
How much has the NCAA rules changed to allow coaches? You have more coaches now. How much has that helped you out? You talked about with the evaluation, having people around you. How much has that changed maybe what you guys?
Yeah, it's changed everything. I mean, everybody gives a chance to coach, and if you're organized enough, the quality of football this year on the field that people watch across the country should be a lot better because of that. And then because of the iPads, that you can make in-game adjustments and everything that goes with that if you're organized. Talking to your quarterback. So the quality of the game you watch on Saturday should be higher. The challenge is for us to be more organized than everybody else and more prepared and everything that goes with that.
I know you're worried about tomorrow's practice first and foremost, but the recent House settlement, a lot of big changes are coming to college football next year. With revenue sharing, scholarships can be, I think schools can distribute 110 scholarships. Yeah. Have you kind of been involved in those discussions of how crazy maybe this next offseason is going to get for you?
That's a great question. So what I'm doing is I've got other people worrying about that right now that are starting to come up, and I'm worried about that practice tomorrow, getting on that field with my players and getting in the meeting room. And that's kind of a great example of what I'm talking about. The last 2 years I've been worrying about that stuff, right, instead of everything else. So I've got people that are constantly looking, and there's probably going to be more changes too. There may be changes before, so we've got a team that's in charge of that. I can worry about the football.
On a different note, Coach Deion Sanders during Big 12 Media Day made high remarks regarding you and the recruitment of Shedeur Sanders. What does that mean to you as another head coach in a respective way? How much you look forward to that?
Well, I mean, I think, respect probably mutual respect. You know, people can say what they want, but he's brought more attention to Colorado football in the last 2 years than they may have had since they won the national championship. Every coach has their own way of doing things, including me. I'm a high school coach. I was one of the first high school coaches, and I was isolated, man. I was on an island, and there was a little bit of feel that, well, he's doing it his own way. And whether people agree or disagree, let me tell you, they're talking about it, and the national media's talking about it. Recruits like it, and it's a big game coming here. You know, let's say he wasn't the coach. They come here, it probably wouldn't be the same. So I've got a lot of respect for him, the way he does it. You know, I do it my way, he does it his way. We're both kind of, I don't know if outsiders are the way, but we do it our own way. And so I got a lot of respect for him. His son, the quarterback, he's one of the best in the country, if not the best. And that's, you know, I saw that when I was at that camp, you know, and he was going in 10th grade, like, that guy's really good. He just happens to be Deion Sanders' son. So, you know, that's probably where some of that came from.
You kind of spoke about Deion Sanders and Colorado coming here. Is there any particular game you have highlighted on the schedule this season, or is it just you're trying to win them all?
Yeah, this isn't coach speak, okay? This is real talk, but, you know, we're going to get through this fall camp. We're going to focus on that game one. You know, and you do that, but as a coach and as a staff and my other guys, I mean, we play TCU on the road, the first conference game, and so that's a huge one. And so we have off the field guys that are preparing for that as we're going, but the first game and then the first conference game, and then obviously, you know, I think we got an off week before that. We'll cross that bridge. I mean, it's really neat for the fans to think about. I'm not thinking about that right now. So,
Gus, what do you want to see out of your first scrimmage on Sunday? What would you like to kind of see from the scrimmage?
We're going to put the ball down, and I want to hear some hits. The crowd would go ooh. You know, we didn't have very many last year, and you know, that physical. I want people going the ball, physical brand of football. That when we've played that brand of football, we've been very successful. So that's what I'm looking for.
I know there's a lot of excitement about Randy Pittman coming back for a second year. What kind of player are we going to see, you know, going into his second year of college football?
Yeah, Randy's established himself as really one of our best all-around players. He's still in that developmental stage, but he wants to be good. He's very physical. He's very athletic. He's very smart. You know, he's one of those players that's taken that next step. So I'm excited to watch him.
Colton Boomer faced some adversity a season ago. What are your expectations for him this season?
Real similar to me. Get back to being himself. You know, a lot of times too, you know, the kicker's world, man, it's like a golfer. You know, I mean, he had a great freshman year, and then you kind of get in a little bit of a funk, and everything is trying to play catch up, and then you stress a little more and all that. So I've just really went back my approach with him, just like when he was a freshman, and coaching him the same way. And, you know, and so that same approach, and so, you know, I'm confident that he'll respond and have a good year.
RJ Harvey coming back, getting the strength that he did, bringing in Penny Boone, and KJ Jefferson, who expects to mow people down in the open field. How dominant do you expect this team to be on the ground? You know,
I think, you know, we're a run, play action team. We're able to run the football, and they come up, and then you throw it deep, them playing fast. And, you know, so, you know, obviously we got some quarterbacks that can beat people with their feet too, I feel like. And, you know, you just said those two running backs, and Johnny, you can't forget Johnny. He's one of the most dynamic guys there is, and Miles also. So feel really good about you know, a running back room, and so we're excited to have those guys.
How does this running back room maybe compare to other places you've been? I know Penny was talking about in 2006, you know, at Arkansas with McFadden and Jones, yeah. And he had Cadillac Williams and much other talented guys at Auburn. Like, how does this running back room rank for you?
Yeah, I mean, preseason, feel good about it. I mean, answering those questions is going to be better at the end of the season to answer those. I mean, those are some of the best to ever play the game. Now, but I am excited about this, and you know, we got NFL guys in that room, okay, and so I'm excited to watch, you know, how they play.
Offensive and defense, we were talking about, they stress discipline every time. What'd you guys get out of this season? Discipline. You keep talking about discipline and all the stuff like that. How hard did you grind that into?
Well, you just look at last year, penalties. I mean, we were undisciplined in all three phases on penalties. We didn't protect the football very good. We didn't get turnovers, and that's coaching. And so that is the discipline piece. And so just really having a plan to educate our players that we're all in it, what the expectations are, and to coach them better. And understand that the coaches and the players, we're in it together. And if we really, truly want to win and not just lip service, you got to take care of it. And you got to get it done on the practice field. And it's hard. It's an everyday deal. You got to answer the bell. And so really that's been our approach.
Last year, linebacker depth was a major concern throughout the season. Obviously, you dealt with injuries there too. Now you look at it as a strength on the team. What's that been like?
Well, linebacker-wise, obviously we had some depth issues. I think everybody knows that the last 2 years. So we went out and got some experienced guys that have done it on the field. Then we got some young guys that are starting to come on and not putting that pressure. You don't have time to have growing pains in this league. We had growing pains last year. You don't have time for that. And so the combination of the new guys and some of these younger guys that are starting to come on, you know, I feel better about that room.
Coach, you went right really hard in the transfer portal on not just the linebackers, but also the D-backs.
The what?
You brought in a lot of defensive backs and linebackers for the transfer portal. What is it about the defensive line that you kind of felt like you'd be able to let it be as far as bringing?
Well, we brought in a few defensive linemen, defensive ends, okay? You know, we have pretty quality inside that's played a lot of football. You know, in the secondary, you can't have enough guys that can cover, experienced guys, especially when you're playing a team like Colorado that has an NFL quarterback and NFL receiver. You got to be able to cover them. So really, that was the process, and that was the thinking.
Is center with Caden Kittler, does he have the leg up? Obviously, he was there in the spring. Is there a competition at that spot this camp?
Yeah, Cam Kenny, you know, Marcellus is a guy too that could, but you know, it's his to lose. He's a guy that started a couple games. He had a really good spring. He's starting to take that next step. You know, with what we do playing fast, we ask our center to make a lot of calls. He's got to make things right. He's a smart guy too. Cam Kenny's played a lot of football, and so we put him in there in the spring and primarily at center. So there is some good competition, and you can't have enough, you know, depth at that position.
Preseason
Coach,
projections have you middle of the pack. How do you feel being underestimated, perhaps?
Like I said, I mean, how anybody can predict with 40 new players on every team? More power to them. I could give a crap.
Do you feel you're being underestimated?
I don't feel anything. I mean, all I feel is I got to get our team ready, and we'll let the chips fall where they go.
Coach, it's clear your sense of urgency. I think everyone in this room can feel that right now. Do your guys need to match that sense of urgency, or are you confident that they will?
Oh, I mean, it's a process. We hadn't arrived yet. It's a process every day that you have to meet. And my experience is when the leaders start sounding like the coaches and everybody starts sounding like the head coach, that's when you got a chance. So it's a process, and we're committed to that process, and we're not going to let up. And so we'll see what happens.
You've talked about this team taking on your personality. What traits, what parts of your personality do you want this team to take on?
You know, just intensity and the plan. You know, don't want to incriminate us, but the plan of what it takes to win a championship. Like I said, I've been real blessed to win championships, know what it looks like, know what it feels like. I know what it takes. And so really, that's really the big picture of it.
Big picture wise, when you look at the new college football playoff, the expansion, the opportunity that's there this year that maybe wasn't a year ago, that if you win the conference, you're in the playoff. I mean, how much do you kind of think about that when you look at the opportunities that the Big 12 will have?
Yeah, I think every coach, you know, is excited about that. I mean, that gives more people opportunities late in the year. There's no doubt about it. And then, you know, I mean, I think there's a great chance there's going to be 2 to 3, possibly 4 on some in our conference. So it's not just going to be the winner. So we're a long way from that, but that's good big picture for college football. It's good for our conference. It's good for us.
Time for a couple more. Does the Big 12 this year feel like almost like year one because of all the different changes with the teams that left and the teams that are coming in? Does it feel like it's viewed differently?
You know, a little bit, just from the standpoint we only played 2 common opponents. We have 4 new opponents out west, and we play all 4 of them. You know, so. But you know, it does feel a little bit new.
Coach, we talked about all of the changes that come to the college football world, but they allowed CFP 25 to come into existence. Talking to all talk about how they played the game together, and even the coaches as well. So, as the head coach, what have you seen since the release of the game that has kind of helped bring this team together?
I don't know. I hadn't seen one thing about it. I know our players are and recruits like it, but I've not even looked at it. I couldn't tell you. So that's way down the list.
Were you a video game guy growing up? Arcades, Atari? What did you do?
Yeah. I've got a real addictive personality. If I start something, I'll be consumed. I don't even want to look at it. All right. So, yeah, they like it. Great.